Once upon a time in the early 1800s, there was a man named Hugh Glass, an American frontiersman and trapper who embarked on an expedition in the untamed wilderness of the West. He was a skilled hunter and tracker, and his reputation as a fierce and fearless explorer had spread far and wide. One day, as he and his companions were hunting for pelts, Hugh was viciously attacked by a grizzly bear. His companions thought he was dead, so they left him behind, buried him in a shallow grave and moved on. In this video, we will tell the incredible true story of Hugh Glass, from his early life to his fateful encounter with the grizzly bear, and his epic journey of survival. We will take you on a journey through history, exploring the challenges that Hugh faced, the decisions he made, and the legacy he left behind. Regarding the real Hugh Glass, we don't know much. He most likely was born in Pennsylvania between the years of 1775 and 1780. Glass left for sea as a young man, became a ship's captain, and was subsequently caught by pirates working for the Louisiana buccaneer Jean Lafitte, according to the common tale repeated by mountain men and later recorded by Philip St. George Cook and others. When given the option of committing suicide or working for Lafitte, Glass chose piracy and spent a year at sea while donning the skull and crossbones. Despite claims to the contrary, Glass was generally regarded as a trustworthy and respectable man, if a little odd. He was described as bold, adventurous, reckless, and eccentric to an extreme, yet was nonetheless a man of considerable qualities and intellectual as well as bodily power. By a contemporary, but given the dangerous life he led, his fearlessness stood out above all other virtues. On Galveston Island in 1818, Glass and a companion eluded Lafitte's gang by wading across shallow water to the Texas coast. They headed north, avoiding the Comanches and the Kiowas, only to be captured by Pawnees in modern-day Kansas out of fear of the cannibalistic Karankawas. The Pawnees had a tradition of piercing their captives with pitch pine slivers, lighting the wood on fire, and then setting the captives ablaze. Glass, who had grabbed some cinnabar from the pirate ship, which was highly sought for its use in the creation of Red War paint, is said to have watched his colleague perish in this fashion but managed to save himself. He lived as a member of the Lou band of Pawnees for the following 4 years after winning the favor of a chief. During this time, he gained invaluable experience in tribal warfare and wilderness survival that would come in handy once his real adventure began. As the band stopped in St. Louis in 1822, Glass began a new phase of his life. He joined the Ashley Henry Fur Company, which was organizing a trip to Montana to gather beaver pelts in the enormous area known as the Upper Missouri, situated amid the northern Great Plains and northern Rocky Mountains, as a hunter and trapper. If one could survive the inescapable Indian raids and lesser dangers like blizzards, avalanches, river crossings, grizzly bears, hunger, thirst, fever, and parasites, there was a fortune in furs to be collected. The 1,500-mile keelboat trip up the Missouri River marked the start of the mission. They conducted peaceful trade with the river-dwelling Arikaras in what is now South Dakota before being attacked shortly after the transactions were completed. Glass and another dozen trappers were injured, and 12 trappers were slain. 3 months later, the survivors started walking towards the Yellowstone River in search of safety at a fur-trading fort 300 miles distant. They made every effort to remain undetected in order to avoid being found by another war group, but they also needed to feed. By killing a deer or a buffalo every day or two, they had to reveal their location. A rifle shot sound traveled more than a mile. Glass surprised a large grizzly sow with cubs after he had gone off to go hunting. Although he must have realized that even a .53 caliber rifle ball couldn't stop a rushing bear, he shot her as she charged. However, all agree that Glass was torn nearly all to pieces, as one mountain man later put it. Accounts of his mauling differ slightly. The bear bit him on the back of the neck, shook him, dredged her claws into the flesh of his back, shoulder, arm, and leg, then raked him in the throat with her 6-inch claws, shredding his scalp. He was alone in a huge forest without any weapons once more. Yet he was aware that Fort Atkinson, which was around 400 miles away, would eventually be reached if he continued trekking along the Platte to the Missouri. He also had a knife, flint, and steel this time. He was able to prepare his meat and stay warm at night by approaching and slaughtering young buffalo calves with his knife. With little trouble, he reached Fort Atkinson, where his incredible voyage came to an unhappy end. He had just left the security of Fort Cass and was traveling along the frozen river with 2 companions when they were ambushed by a group of Arikara warriors. The 3 trappers were all beheaded and killed. At the age of 50, Glass was laid to rest in an unmarked burial close to the present-day Big Horn, Montana, on the banks of the Yellowstone River. It was as far away from civilization as it was possible to get in America in 1833. In that regard, it serves as an appropriate resting place for the ex-pirate, ex-Pawnee, and extraordinary mountain man.